Welcome to We've Got the Mic. Today we're going to be talking about The Wedding Singer. We chose to start with this movie because it's how we got our name for the podcast. But a little bit more about that later.
All right, it's 1985, junk bonds, Michael Jackson, CD players, and wealth. Robbie Hart, played by Adam Sandler, is a wedding singer who can cover the hits, deliver the perfect toast, and even get grandma on the dance floor. But when Robbie is dumped at his own wedding, sorry, he has a total eclipse of the heart and becomes the ultimate cynic. It's not until he meets a waitress named Julia, Drew Barrymore, that Robbie starts to come around. However, Julia is about to get married herself to a dick. And unless Robbie can pull off the performance of a lifetime, the girl of his dreams may be gone forever.
Okay, so the movie starts off with, of course, Robbie Hart singing at a wedding. And one of the groomsmen gives the kid alcohol. And one of the groomsmen is played by Peter Dante. He's like always in Adam Sandler's movies.
Yeah.
And then Adam Sandler, he's singing throughout the whole movie, or this first part. And then he stops to give a little speech. And he introduces the best man, played by Steve Buscemi.
I love him.
I love him too. This is like the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
He like gives a little toast and it starts off good and then it takes a turn and he gets into it with his dad.
Which is great. It's great. It's probably like happens in real life. I don't know if people can hold it in better, but
the best quote is, "I'm a person too, Pop, goddammit. I'm a person too." And then his dad calls him a moron.
Yeah. But he looks great. He's definitely drunk, but he looks great.
Then he starts playing the guitar. Self-taught, no lessons. Thank you very much, Pop. It's also a very good part.
Yeah, and he's the older brother, I want to point out.
And then, so Adam Sandler takes a little break and has George come on stage, which is in his band. He's in his band.
Yes, George
is played by Alexis Arquette.
Right, who looks like Boy George, big fan. Who's great in this movie, knows one song.
And keeps playing that one song until Robbie Hart comes back on stage.
It doesn't matter what kind of event it is. A wedding, which is a great song for a wedding.
The whole like family that's at the wedding is like scared by him and like starts talking about him, and Steve Buscemi's character, his name's David, says, "Ooh, I like her."
Right, which I actually really like because, I mean, this movie came out in 1998, right?
Yeah.
So back then, I don't know, it's weird. I guess I was young, but not too young. But it wasn't something that we would see too often as like a transgender like
woman.
actress or actor being in a film and then having a role like this. So I thought that was cool.
And then we get introduced to Sammy, who's played by Alan Corvette. Was I sorry his last name?
I'm pretty sure. Sorry if it's not.
And he's looking at this new waitress, and he's saying she's in trouble, she's gonna get it. She doesn't even know it.
Hint, this is Drew Barrymore's Julia, our female lead of the movie. So she then, I think, heads back to the kitchen, and she's kind of talking to her cousin, who is played by Christine Taylor.
Her name's Holly in the movie.
Holly in the movie, yeah. And you could tell they both have a completely different vibe. She's super 80s, Holly. Her hair, 80s, outfit, 80s.
She
the
looks
demeanor,
like Madonna. Like,
right.
If you want to pick.
Which later she literally dresses as Madonna, so you can tell she had a specific kind of style.
And their boss is a total creep.
Yes. Yeah. But I guess that's probably standard for then. You never know.
And then, so we get introduced to Julia. She's talking with Holly, and she's talking about how she's been engaged for 2 years, and she doesn't know where her relationship is going. So her cousin tells her to go on a little break. And then coming back to the beginning, the kid who was drinking in the beginning of the film is about to puke. So Adam Sandler is going to help him out so he doesn't puke in front of his family. And then that's how Robbie and Julia meet.
Yes. So they have like a nice little, I feel like a nice interaction outside. Julia's kind of, I don't want to say demure, but I guess kind of demure. She's like a quiet type, super sweet. Like she looks innocent and angelic or whatever in the movie as well. I also want to talk about this necklace that she wears the whole time. So she's wearing this like, I don't know if you remember, if you were around back then, they had like the metal chokers with like the big pendant. So she wears one of those pretty much the entire movie, which is not really important, but something that I noticed. And so they have like a little conversation. She's kind of talking about...
She's talking about how she'd be puking in there more than that kid, and that she mentions she's not a very big drinker.
Right. Which later, I guess we'll talk about later. Robbie says the same thing as well. It's hard to say if it's true or he's just trying to get him or get her to like him. What do you think?
Well, they both say they're not very big drinkers.
But she said at first.
I mean...
He already loved her.
And then Sammy walks in and tells Robbie he needs to get back on stage because they're going to kill George because he keeps singing the same song over and over.
If you don't know the song, again, we did the synopsis in the beginning in case you haven't seen the movie, but it's Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? So you can tell that's not really the song you want to hear over and over at your wedding reception. Yeah.
And then, so that scene ends and it goes into the next scene where we're introduced to Rosie. And Adam Sandler's character is giving her singing lessons.
Yes. Rosie is trying to learn a song to sing at her, I think it's the 50th anniversary?
Yeah.
To her husband, which is super cute. They're learning a song from The Music Man. And she's just a super sweet old lady, pays him in meatballs.
Yes, pays him in meatballs.
Yeah. She can't afford to pay with money, and Robbie's so sweet that, he lets her give him 2 meatballs.
In his hand because she ran out of Tupperware.
And he had to go. He usually eats them, I assume, at the house.
Well, not in this case because she wants him to take a bite with the meatball in his hand, marinara sauce everywhere, and she wants him to take a bite.
That's her favorite part.
And she also gives him sex advice.
Yes. Yeah, there is
a
scene where she's kind of giving her sexual past and talking about how she's kind of...
that she's had intercourse with 8 men before she was married.
Which is a lot for her time.
Back in that day.
Yeah.
So the next scene is Robbie's wedding.
Robbie and Linda. So Linda, I guess at this point we don't really know what a horrible human being she is, but we're about to find out. So we go to the scene and it's obviously his wedding. Robbie's standing at the altar in the front. The minister or the officiant is saying maybe they should call her. So clearly she's running late already. And
Robbie what did you catch about this scene, like the music?
Oh. Okay, so they're playing like the ambiance. People play like ambiance music or whatever when you're walking up the aisle or like when people are just getting seated at weddings. I like that they were playing Journey, Don't Stop Believin', which, I mean, he wasn't stopping believing, I guess, that she was going to show up. I don't know. But he says she has like probably a makeup emergency or something like that. Let's give her a few minutes. And then what happens after that is kind of insane.
His sister walks up and lets him know that Linda's fine, but that she left a note saying that she wasn't coming to the wedding. And if she wants to, let the family know, like, that she's not coming. And he says no to give him a second.
Yeah, so already you kind of see he likes to take care of things on his own, or like he's responsible for himself. I guess he didn't want her to do it, as probably knew it was going to be something hard, even though it would be harder for him clearly to stand in front of everyone he's just been standing in front of and tell them that he's been stood up on his wedding day. But he goes to take his minute just in a little, it's not even a room, it's like a tent.
It looks like a little hut.
Yeah, it's like a little, like it's literally fabric. It's not walls or anything, so it's not soundproof.
A mirror in there.
And he just kind of looks at himself in the mirror and
says everything's gonna be okay.
has a total meltdown, throws the mirror, he's screaming.
And then it cuts to Boy George sobbing, which is like one of my favorite parts.
Like George's outfit in the scene, so great. Also, like I love the headbands and just
total 80s.
It's great, so great.
And then it cuts to Robbie's sister's house, and Billy Idol is on the TV singing White Wedding.
Great music video, by the way, if you want to check that out. I don't know if you've seen it. It's not new, so.
And then Robbie's nephew comes into the scene, and he gives his uncle a picture, and it's a picture of Robbie and Linda, and Linda's face is all drawn on. It has like a devil face.
It's got horns. And this isn't like a little picture. This is like the big 16 by 20, 24 by 36 size that you put at the front of your wedding so everybody can see your giant photo. Like this is a huge thing. So it obviously took this kid a long time, a lot of thought to get this done.
Robbie tells him that it's not very nice, but very creative. So yes. He encourages.
Yeah. So at this point, he's sitting in there with Sammy and his brother-in-law. And they're kind of chatting.
Andy, I think is his name.
I think so. His hair is crazy. I don't like it, but that's whatever. He has a very small part. But so they're kind of chatting and they're talking bad about Linda, which I mean, who wouldn't? It depends on the person, but you know, you like to support your friends in different ways. Like some people don't want people to talk bad. Some people don't care. Whatever helps, but they're talking bad about her. And then Robbie kind of says not to do that. He's like, don't talk bad about her because when we get back together, there's
gonna be weirdness between us.
Right. Which, I mean, obviously there would be weirdness anyway. She definitely left you at the altar, so I don't know what you're expecting.
Yeah. And then Robbie leaves the scene, and it's the brother-in-law and Sammy, and they're talking about how he's been wanting to get married since the 3rd grade. And then his sister walks into the scene saying that it all makes sense because that's around the time that he lost both his parents.
Right. So that's like a sad moment. That's when we find out about the parents, that they don't have parents.
And then we find out that the cake topper, well, it goes into a new scene, and it's the cake topper. The wedding, what is it called? The girl.
Yeah, the bride.
The bride.
Cake topper. So Robbie's sitting outside now on the front porch, and guess who shows up? It's Linda. And she's just kind of talking about how she's sorry, that she didn't come. She's just been thinking a lot and talking to her friends. And she realized that she is in love with Robbie then, which when is then, I don't know. And not in love with Robbie now. So I guess Robbie was like a rock star. He was going to be a rock star. He was supposed to be a rock star. And that's the life that she was looking for, or who she was in love with. And now she can't imagine being married to a wedding singer.
And, you know, living in his sister's basement with 5 kids. And he yells at her, things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday, which is
Valid.
Yeah.
So valid.
And then one of his little nephew runs out and says, "Hey, Linda." And she waves to him, and then he goes, "You're a bitch."
Right. Of course, Robbie blames it on Tourette's.
They're looking into it. They think he might have Tourette's.
But clearly he doesn't. Like, kids are perceptive. Like, he knows what's going on. But what I also noticed about this scene, kind of after she leaves, he throws the cake topper, the bride, into the grass. And you see that it has short blonde hair. So it basically looks exactly like Julia or Drew Barrymore's character in the film.
Linda, if you haven't seen the movie, she has brunette, long hair.
Yeah.
Longish hair.
Right. So I don't, it's got to be on purpose. I don't know. I've never talked to Adam Sandler about it before, but
it's a clue.
But it's definitely like foreshadowing to Julia being a bride.
That scene ends like that, and then it goes into Julia's scene, and we get introduced to Glenn, which is her fiance.
Glenn is a dick.
Jerk off. We don't
like he's probably, I don't want to say that he's worse than Linda, but he's probably definitely worse than Linda.
He's worse. He's so worse.
Like,
he's a total douche.
They're bad in different ways, but he's so bad, especially when you know, or like have seen Julia, like who she is as a person. It's even worse because she's just so sweet and does not deserve.
So it starts off with Julia, and she's singing, and she doesn't know the words to like any lyrics like to the song that she's singing. And Glenn scares her with flowers and tells her, "Why are you so jumpy?" after he scared her. And then presents 2 tickets to Vegas, saying like that they should get married in Vegas.
Right. Because again, he hadn't set a date. That's what she's been waiting for. Again, they've been engaged for 2 years. And he sucks about it. So he gives the 2 plane tickets, and she's feigning excitement, which he kind of realizes and brings that up. He's like, "Are you actually excited, or are you pretending to be excited and I'm gonna have to pay for it later," or something like that. And then ends up just
taking it back.
Yeah, saying, "Well, the wedding is important to you anyways."
He says
it's more important to you.
It's more important to you anyways, so
right.
He'll let her plan a big wedding then, because it's more important to her.
Exactly, which
is
like, hello, Julia,
move.
like he doesn't care at all. So,
and
that's
then,
clearly red flags, people. Red flags.
Scene ends, and it's back at Robbie's house. He's depressed. He lives in his sister's basement, by the way. And he's been down there for 5 days, so his best friend, Sammy, comes over and tries to cheer him up and basically tells him, like, he needs to go back to work. So he listens.
Sammy is great stuff, great friend. He's like,
great advice.
Get out of here, you gotta get out there. There's gonna be a lot of beautiful hot chicks out there at the wedding. And then Robbie's like, "I'm not ready to fall in love," or
he says no one's gonna want to marry me, or something like that.
Right. And which Sammy returns with, "Well, I'm not trying to get you married, I'm trying to get you laid."
Trying to get someone to play with your ding dong.
Yeah. So there's that. That's what kind of person Sammy is, at least right now. Like, he is deeper, we found out later, at least a little bit deeper, but deep enough for somebody.
So this next scene is like one of the best also. Robbie goes back to work, and he is just like so depressed. In the beginning of the movie, he's just like so like cut clean and shaved, and like this part he is just, it looks like he hasn't showered in days or shaved, and he's singing, and he's just not doing a great job.
He's bawling.
And the people at the wedding, especially like the father of the bride, he's pissed. Like, he paid all this money and they don't know what the hell they got.
essentially he's ruining it. He's ruining the reception. Like, obviously he's not ruining the wedding because that already happened. Like, the ceremony happens, yeah, but the reception, like, he's crying. He's crying
while singing.
At least he's like trying to sing like the normal wedding songs. But like it's so bad, and it's amazing watching it on screen because I don't know, it's real. You're like, if I was just left at the altar a couple days earlier, I mean, first of all, you wouldn't be out there, but if you were, that's how you would be.
The next scene is Robbie's friend Sammy. He's at the bar, and Holly walks out, and she goes, I don't know, like, what he was thinking coming back to work, and Sammy's like, I don't know either, like, just totally plays it off like, yeah, it wasn't his idea. Ignores the fact
that he just forced him to come
back to work.
Yeah, and Julia is there as well, of course, but she's seen, this is the third time that she's seeing him, so the first being, or that we see in the movie at least, we don't know if there's weddings in between, but the first being the very first wedding, and then his wedding where he got left at the altar, and now here where he's extremely depressed. So she's seeing a wide range of emotion from this guy already, but she seems pretty attached.
It's a movie.
Like, super into it. She's into it. So
Robbie stops singing, and he tries to give like love advice, and the father of the bride is just not having it. He's saying he's not paying you to hear your thoughts, he's paying you to sing. And this is where we got our name from.
Yes. So he says, well, I have the microphone and you don't, so you will listen to every word I have to say.
The best part of the movie.
So that's super great. And actually, like, in that scene as well, when he's singing Love Stinks, it goes around to, like, gosh, all the people, like the super fat guy. Love Stinks. It's like just everyone. And they're kind of participating.
Yeah, I mean,
but then he gets his ass beat.
Well, before that, the father-in-law tries to, like, speak again, and he basically says, like, hey, one more outburst and I'm gonna choke you with my microphone wire. Yeah. And then it goes to Cindy, and which is the bride, and she makes like this pouty face, like, please don't choke my father.
Cindy, I also want to point out, has, I don't know if anyone's seen any 80s wedding photos or been to a wedding in the 80s. Probably not. I never was, because not that old. That's not true. I went to like my aunt and uncle's wedding in the 80s. But what's great about this is like the costumes are so great, because you look at her wedding dress and the headpiece is so quintessential, like 80s headpiece. It's like just the headband that's like sparkly, and then it has like the veil sticking up in the back and then coming down. The attention to detail is great. Yeah.
All right, and then the next scene, Julia finds him hiding in the dumpster.
So, yes, this is the same dumpster that he helped the little boy throw up in our first wedding scene, where they kind of first met. So, our second important meeting of the two of them in the same dumpsters. She comes out and kind of asks if he's okay. And he's asking if everyone's left already. And she goes, she's like, pretty much, there are still some people being questioned by the police or something like that, like for the police report. So we know how the fight escalated just a lot if the police got involved. Yeah. But that's funny.
So he gets out of the dumpster and he mentions that he doesn't want to do weddings anymore. He's just going to stick to like other stuff because he's too heartbroken to do it. And she breaks the news to him that she finally set a date and that she wants him to sing at her wedding.
Like he has to sing at her wedding, she says. But I mean, he's really sad. He's depressed. He's not about it. And he kind of leaves, not in a rude way or like a mean way, but obviously
just like a really sad way. Like, he just wants to get out of there.
Super hurt.
And she mentions that she's going to be having an engagement party and wants him and Sammy to attend.
Which, again, already, third time you've met him, he's clearly got some stuff going on. Attached. Invite him to your engagement party, sure, I guess.
And then that scene ends and it starts with him going to take care of his nephews.
I think that's the night he goes to take care of his nephews.
Yeah.
And they kind of tell him he's going to the mental institution.
Cuckoo's nest, cuckoo's nest. His nephews say to him, like, hey, I heard you're going to a mental institution. Is it true you're crazy? And then the next scene is Julia's engagement party. So he doesn't seem that depressed. He still seems sad, but, like, he just wants to come in, say hi, and get out of there. And he attends with Sammy.
Sammy is dressed like Michael Jackson in this scene.
Glove and all.
So, yes, we've got our glove. We've got that red leather jacket. We're looking super, I don't know, I was going to say dapper, but thriller. I don't know.
And Glenn.
I got it. He's looking bad. There we go.
My God.
That's a Michael Jackson
Oh, yeah, he
song.
got the red jacket on.
He's looking bad. Okay, there we go.
And then Glenn is dressed like Miami Vice. And Holly, like, totally calls him out on it. Like, how are you going to get married? Like, you might miss Miami Vice.
Summer reruns. So
he's all set.
Yeah.
Nerd.
That's crazy. If you have time to be watching every episode of Miami Vice, you have time to pay attention to your fiance. But
so
what else?
Then Glenn and Robbie get introduced to each other for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenn's jerk-off friend, what's his name? Did we get his name? We don't even care about his name. He's just a jerk.
A dick.
Talks about, like, hey, I know you, Robbie. Aren't you like that guy that got left at the altar?
Yeah. Like
like, who says that?
This is something like, did it suck, or like something like that, and Robbie responds with, no, it was great. Like, clearly sarcastic and through his teeth. Like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
And then he says, my parents died when I was
10.
Do you want to talk about that too? Yeah. Why would I want to talk about that? Some people are totally oblivious, so clearly he's one of them.
Yeah. And then Glenn and the friend, they leave to the bar, so Julia, Sammy, and Robbie are talking to each other. And then Sammy gives, like, Julia, like, this look like he wants her. And then Robbie, like, totally, like, tells on him what he said in the...
he sells him out. What he says in the first wedding
scene.
Yeah, where we first see Julia, that she's gonna get it.
And she doesn't even know it, and Julia is a sport about it, totally, because I would have been like, you creep.
Yeah, she's like, wait, I'm not gonna get it anymore, but Sammy, he can't handle it. He's trying to deny.
Like, what? I never said that about you. He's totally lying.
Yeah. I was like, which is clearly a pattern, because he lied first about making Robbie go back to work, and then now he's lying about this. But it's more like to protect himself. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's malicious, but he's just trying to hide who he is, I guess.
And then, so Sammy leaves the scene, and then it's just Robbie and Julia, and they're talking about how she needs help planning her wedding and that she went to Marshall's to go get wedding stuff.
Like, I love it so much. Like, I don't know, was there Home Goods back then? Like, I don't know. TJ Maxx, whatever, but Marshall's, that's great. That's great. So good. They don't have no stuff for weddings right now.
And he tells her, go to Tony's. Like, we know who the hell Tony is.
Yeah, we don't know, but, I mean, maybe
go
it's
there.
something in Jersey.
And then that scene ends, and they're at a bar mitzvah.
Yes, a bar mitzvah. If you don't know what a bar mitzvah is,
Google it.
yeah, basically. So
Well, there's a ba mitzvah and a ba mitzvah.
it's bar and bat.
Bat or ba?
Bat.
Osh.
Yeah.
Bat mitzvahs for girls and
bar
ba
mitz-
mitzvahs
bar
for boys.
mitzvah.
Ba. That's a ba.
Crawl up on the ba. Different movie,
Anyways.
but so yeah, they're at this bar mitzvah and everything's blue. Like, I always wonder if that's kind of what Adam, because we know he probably had a mitzvah.
Feel like
It probably was like that, no? His bar
whatever
mitzvah?
whatever scene they're doing or whatever party is, it's like they paint the whole place that color.
Yeah.
The first wedding was blue, so everything was blue. The second wedding was red, and everything, even to the building, was red. The trash can was red.
Yeah.
And now it's back to blue.
Exactly.
So I think they paint it like
Everything's super
Yeah.
matching. But I guess that was like sort of, common in that time too. Like,
I mean, to paint the whole damn building.
I don't know, girl. Maybe it's lighting. You don't know.
Okay.
They hire a crew to come out just every weekend to paint
Paint
the
it this
building.
color.
Yeah. So we're at the bar mitzvah and Julia's there. We've got our singer Robbie, and Robbie's in a good mood.
Yeah,
He's
feeling
fine.
way better.
I mean, he's fine. He's singing
He's
at a bar
shaved.
mitzvah. It's not at a wedding. So, he hasn't been at a wedding.
And then he has Boy George take over for him because he wants to take a little break. And Boy George gets up there, and guess what song he sings?
Do you really want to hurt me?
The only song he knows.
Literally all the 13-year-old girls, like, I was just staring at him. Like, can you not?
And also he plays all these different instruments. Like
you play, what does he play? Like the
piano?
Piano. I feel like a saxophone or something, some sort of, or trombone.
something.
Like drums maybe.
And
it's
then
like,
lead singer, like
but you can't.
what is the
learn
little, like
more
a
than
flute?
one song.
Doesn't he play a flute too?
I think so.
Like, knows it all. Go Boy
But
George.
yeah, a ton of instruments, one song that you can sing. So that's interesting. If anyone's like that,
So,
let us know.
Yes. So the bar mitzvah's over. They're packing up. And Julia asked Robbie again, like, hey, can you please, like, help me plan my wedding? Like, I don't know anything. I don't know where to go. I'm new here. My mom lives 50 miles away. My cousin's not into it. Like, can you help me? And he agrees to help her.
He secretly loves her. So at this point, like, I feel like we as the audience already know. No one in the movie knows yet, but we, you've got an inkling already. I do want to hop back into the bar mitzvah just for 1 second to talk about our friend Bruce. Because, well, Bruce is not his name in this movie. I don't think he has an actual name. He's the studliest guy, or the studliest guy at the bar mitzvah or something like that is what they call him.
Bruce.
But he's Bruce from Matilda.
The kid that eats all the chocolate cake.
Brucey.
He's in this. Bruce, you can do it.
But yeah, he's in the movie and he's kind of a loser or whatever.
No one wants to dance with him.
Yeah, so
Sad.
Robbie helps him out and gets
totally grabs
Julia's
butt
ass.
and like she lets him get in there.
I mean, she was doing him a solid, so
To be 12.
I like that. That was cute. Robbie was nice to help him out, I guess. Who knows what will happen in his future, but I guess we'll never know.
So back to finding or helping Julia with the wedding. So there's like little scenes where they're trying cake and trying dresses and trying to find a wedding singer for her wedding. And that's where we get introduced to Jimmy Moore.
So Jimmy Moore is played by Jon Lovitz, who
is always in Adam Sandler's movies. Well, not always, but a lot of his movies. A lot of them.
And he's... I don't know how to... Like,
he's a creep.
Yeah.
He's a creep.
Especially, like, in this movie...
I mean, he's a creep in other movies, too, though.
Yeah, but, like, he's... He's a real special...
I would not hire him. I would go with the DJ.
Right, which, I mean, he convinced Julia to do, is to go with a DJ, so.
Because he's just such a jerk. He tells Robbie, like, hey, I'm glad, like, Linda basically left you at the altar because now that you quit, I get all your gigs.
Exactly.
And she tells him, well, you just inspired me to hire a DJ.
Yes.
And then he says, I hope you could find a DJ that moves and shakes like this.
Like, if you can hear the shimmy shake. We're doing it right now.
It's
okay,
good.
So he kind of goes backstage, and we're left with Robbie and Julia sitting in the little hall, kind of talking, and she asked him how he became a wedding singer, and this is where she kind of finds out for the first time that he was trying to be a rock singer, or like in a band, like a real singer. So that's kind of interesting. And she asked if he's been working on anything lately, which he has. It's one of the greatest songs ever.
I wish we could play it on here for you.
I know. I was like, we could sing it, but
we don't want to get into that.
That's doing a lot. So
he mentions that he wrote half of the song when he was with Linda and the other half of the song when they broke up.
Yes. I mean, if you haven't heard it, or if you haven't seen the movie or watched the movie in a while, like, listen to the song again. It's so good. Or just watch the clip on YouTube or something like that if it's there. It's so good. I just love the way his expression changes, and, like, her expression when she's watching him is really nice. Like, in the beginning, she's, like, got dewy eyes, and she's, like, glowing, and, like, oh, it's so sweet. And then when it flips the switch to the part that he wrote after they broke up.
And the song is called Somebody Kill Me Please.
Yeah.
Just so you know, if you do want to look it
up. So that's the first time she hears him sing something of his own, and
it's really good.
Yeah. It's just so good. And then you see Jimmy Moore, Jon Lovitz, peep out from behind the curtain again, just at the end of the song, saying that he's losing his mind and he's reaping all the benefits.
And then it cuts to them at an ice cream parlor, or maybe, like, I don't know, some place where they're eating ice cream. And they're talking about, like, they're talking about, like the little things that matter, like, when they're flying somewhere, like, I guess they were going to the Grand Canyon, Linda and Robbie, and he's never been before, and he wanted to sit
in the window, the window seat, which makes sense. Most people.
And she didn't let him, so he's like, I feel like it's the little things that count. And then he asks Julia, like, how did you know Glenn was the one? And she doesn't really answer him.
Yeah, she's kind of like, the one. And then mentions how mostly she's just
interested
in someone that she can grow old with. And then that Glenn will be a very handsome older man. Which, I mean, I don't know about that, but if you're going to be with him when he looks like the way he did now in the movie, maybe you'll think he's handsome, so I don't know.
And then it cuts to the limo scene, which I think is hilarious. So Sammy is a limo driver, and Robbie and Julia are testing him to see if he can, get the bride inside the car and go through cones and see how fast he can drive, to see if he's going to get the job. to be Julia's limo driver for her wedding.
Which, of course, she's going to hire him because he's Robbie's best friend.
They're just, like, messing with him.
The only limo driver in
Giving
town.
him a hard time.
Yeah. Which is great. She plays along so well in everything that Robbie's trying to do. So it's funny. You kind of see that they're good together. He like hits some cones when they're driving around.
They were cones.
Those could have been people.
They
could have been guests at her wedding.
They were cones.
But then after that, I guess they had dropped Julia off first. But you see Sammy dropping off Robbie at home, or at his sister's house, the basement where he lives.
I guess he lives there too, since he lives in the basement of his house.
His basement house is his home. It's his home. So he's dropping him off at home, and Robbie said something about exactly the street that they passed when Julia had taken off her jacket, because I guess she left it in the back of the limo, and
Sammy basically tells him, like, I think you might have a thing for her.
Yeah.
And then starts talking about her ass, and Robbie gets really offended. So I think right there we can see, like
it's solidified. It's like definite that he's.
And also because he knew exactly like when she took her coat off.
Who does that? Like, who knows that? It was no longer jacket weather.
And the scene ends, and then the next scene starts with Holly at her house, and I think Julia's house. We don't know. We don't know where Julia lives. I think
they live together. Because, I mean, I guess, right? Because she said her mom lives far away.
And she's never at Glenn's house.
Clearly not living with Glenn because he's a terrible person and he cheats on her and stuff.
Well, they don't know that yet.
Well, they're about to know. But yeah, we don't see him.
It's them, and they're talking about the kiss at the church. Like, is she going to kiss him mouth open with tongue? And what does she say? She wants to do church tongue.
Yeah, church tongue.
And Robbie walks in, and basically Holly says, why don't you show me what you're talking about?
Which Julia then goes to kiss Holly, like, slowly, and she's like, not on me, on him. You don't mind, do you, Robbie?
And Robbie don't mind.
Right. And so this is their first kiss, and it's kind of like...
weird.
I mean, Holly's standing there watching. I mean, I guess it's, like, perfect. They're like, yeah, do it just like that at your wedding.
And then Glenn walks in.
Like, directly after.
Like, just by a second misses that kiss.
Yeah, which Robbie admits it right away. I kissed her, but it didn't mean anything.
And then Robbie walks out, and Glenn goes, kiss too. And Julia looks at Holly like, girl, you better say it was you. And she catches on, and it's like, oh, me. And Glenn says, well, who hasn't? Total dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then mentions that he bought a $700 CD player.
Those things are expensive, guys. And you can tell they're still hot and strong today.
Like, $700 was a lot in 1985.
Yeah, and that's a lie. People are not really buying multi-disc changer CDs.
And then Glenn leaves the room, and Julia and Holly are like, oh my god, like, I can't believe that just happened. And like, Holly's like all about Robbie in this scene.
She wants to ask him out, unless Julia doesn't want her to, which of course Julia, being engaged to Glenn and about to get married, isn't gonna be like, no, he's mine or whatever. But you can tell she's apprehensive about it. She doesn't really want to
say yes.
Yeah, let them do it. But Holly's like, oh, ask him. Or no, Glenn comes back.
Yeah.
And he says that since they're close, Julia can just ask Robbie for her. So they kind of make it a double date situation.
And then it gets good.
Or we go to a bar or like a club, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what you would call it. Yeah, a club, I guess.
There's dancing, but they're like upstairs in like a seated area, like a table. I would so want to go
to a club like that. Like,
oh my god, should we go right now to the club? Okay.
And Holly is dressed exactly
Madonna
to the T,
and it's like desperately seeking Susan Madonna. So, if that,
and she's flirting with Robbie and feeding him French fries, and it's like
shoving,
so
when
awkward.
she shoves that one French fry in his mouth, like, it's so gross.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't want that French fry.
No.
And Julia's just taking back shots. It seems like she can't handle it.
Rum on rum, which I did that once. If you know me,
Shut your
I
mouth.
had a whole deal with rum. I'm just saying.
And they talk about how they love David Bowie and they're singing his song. Mm-hmm. And
Glenn does not know the words. He clearly doesn't care about Bowie, which
or anybody.
is another clue that he's a loser. But he kind of fakes it that he knows the words. Yeah, shut your mouth. Everybody knows the words. And, like, he just definitely doesn't. And Julia kind of hops up on the table and
says she has to use the restroom.
To go to the restroom.
She, like, hops over the table and, like, she could have said, like, excuse me.
Like something easily, but you know how it is. You know how it is.
When you gotta puke, you gotta puke.
Mm-hmm. That was the first thing that came to mind. So she's on top of the table.
Like, trying to get to the bathroom.
And so Holly goes after her. We don't see them in the restroom, but
it's awkward because Glenn and Robbie, they're like sitting there and they have nothing to talk about. They have nothing in common besides Julia. And so Robbie asks Glenn, like, hey, what's your last name? And he says, Gulia. And he goes, Julia's name's gonna be Julia Gulia? That's funny.
So, like, okay.
Why is that funny? Gulia. Glenn Gulia.
So stupid. Like, what? I'm sorry, if your name is Glenn Gulia, this is no offense to you. Okay?
If your last name is Gulia.
If your name is Julia Gulia, your parents did it on purpose.
They did it for the kicks.
Because they saw this movie. But, yeah, they're kind of in an awkward moment. And this is where we
kind of find out that Glenn's, like, we already knew he's a total douchebag. But this is, like, where we find out, like, he's a total pig.
Yeah. He's looking at one of the waitresses and he makes, like, a comment. And Robbie kind of notices.
So he plays into it to kind of get a little bit more information.
Right. And this is where we find out. What does he say? It's like a grade A...
top meat choice or something like that.
Top choice meat or something.
And he's talking about, like, the waitress's ass.
Yeah, which that comes into play later. Not the waitress's ass, but the other thing. So,
the quote.
Yeah. So he's a dick.
And so he kind of mentions that he's been engaged, or he's been with Julia for 4 years, so he kind of owes it getting married to her because they've been together so long, and he knows that she's not with him for the money. So
right, like she's paid her dues, so
he'll marry her because he doesn't want to break up.
Exactly. And so we already know that she's been engaged for 2 years because she said that before,
right?
And now we find out that they've been together for 2 years before that, and he's getting married just because
he doesn't want to
break up.
Yeah. And then Robbie kind of says, like, hey, like, you can't, like, really, you don't cheat, or when you get married you won't cheat anymore,
right? And
he says that he works in the city and works long hours.
Exactly. So dick.
So piece of shit.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, basically there's no nice way of putting it. He's a horrible person. But so after that, Holly comes back and says they need to leave, tells them to go pull around the car, and she and Robbie walk Julia outside while Glenn goes to get his car, which is a DeLorean. And
the door opens. And the music is blaring,
so
and
loud.
He is playing the Miami Vice theme song.
What a loser.
And tells her, don't puke in the car, okay? Because it'll stink for a week. Like, nah, like, how are you? How you feeling? Just
Yeah, he does not care about her.
don't
He does
puke in the car.
not care about
The
her.
music is blasting.
So
oh my, I would have been so
It's
pissed. I would have
so
puked all
loud.
over the car.
So loud. But I do like that they use a DeLorean. Like, it shows how much of a, how is it, like a trend whore or whatever that he is. Because honestly, I don't know how popular a DeLorean was before Back to the Future came out. But Back to the Future came out in 1985, and this movie takes place in 1985. So either he's a freak who was like, this car's gonna be awesome, or he saw the movie and immediately went out and spent all this money to buy this car.
And literally dresses like Miami Vice, okay?
Like thinks it's so cute.
It's not cute.
It's not. It's not.
I mean, I guess back in those days it was cute.
I mean, Ross and Chandler did it once, but
we like them.
yeah. They got over it, so. like.
So the next scene is Holly and Robbie, and they're walking up to Holly's house. And basically she tells them, like, if you go inside, you're gonna get some.
Right. She's ready to give it to him, and he does not go inside. This is where she finds out that he is in love with Julia.
And this is kind of...
She goes to kiss him, right?
She kisses him, and all he talks about is Julia after the kiss. So she kind of...
Like, I can't believe I didn't see it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all in agreement. Like, obviously, I can't believe you didn't see it before. I can't believe you didn't see that she didn't want you to go, like, on the date with Robbie in the first place. You're a crazy person, and if you live with her / as much time as you spend with Julia, you should know.
Basically tells Robbie, like, why Julia is marrying Glenn in the first place.
She is not right. Like, it's not the real reason. Yeah, she kind of says that she's marrying him for the money. Like, he has money, it's for stability,
security.
Yeah. Which isn't true. I think Julia's kind of marrying him out of, I don't want to say necessity, but she wants to get married. She's been with him, again, it's 4 years. And why not, I guess, at that point. Like, he asked her. I don't have any excuses for her, but it's not because of the money. But anyways, this causes Robbie to go out and kind of change his lifestyle. He goes to a bank on a job interview. And he kind of, I guess Julia shows up at Rosie's place to see Robbie to give him a gift, and he's not there on the regular voice lesson day because
he's out trying to get a job so that he can get Julia.
Yeah.
Give her security.
And I guess he had told her he can't afford to be getting paid in meatballs or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of sad for Rosie and out of character for Robbie. But he really wants to be with her, and he is willing to change who he is to kind of
be with her.
Yeah, get her, I guess. I don't know.
So the scene is Robbie at the bank, and he's not doing so great, and basically doesn't get the job, and is like trying to make a deal with like the guy that he's interviewing with, like, can you just give me one card and I'll give you like 10 free music lessons? Like, I just need a card with my name on it. Like,
go to Kinko's. Like, hello, like Staples, Moo.com. Like, I don't know.
So then he drives up to his house and he sees Julia there. And the whole time that we see Julia in this scene, like, she has something in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so he walks up to her and they're talking, and they basically get into it about Glenn.
I mean, this is like
the downfall of the movie.
Like, it's so bad. Like, this is I think the one part where you kind of are like, what the hell, Robbie?
Because he's nice throughout the whole movie, and this is
like the way he comes at her for something like she didn't even say. It's something that Holly said. That's not really the case. Like, he basically confronts her about not doing the lessons for meatballs anymore, and how he doesn't have time to be
he needs a
doing
real
stuff
job.
for free. Yeah.
You know, he wants to buy a big house one day and, you know, give that other person, he says, security.
Right.
And that's where she catches on a little bit.
But she's kind of like, but that stuff's not important to you.
You're better than that.
Yeah, you're better than all of that. And
kind of calls him
selfish. Like, he comes back and says,
well, you're marrying Glenn for his money.
Exactly.
And she basically says, you asshole, and throws whatever she had in her hand in his face.
Which turns out to be sheet music that she had customized for him. Like, blank sheet music so he can write music with his name on it and everything. And he feels like a dick immediately because, I mean, what he did was really bad.
Asshole move.
Yeah, I was like, it was really shitty, so...
And then the next scene is Julia. She's trying on her dress, or is it Rob at the bar?
I think we go to the bar.
Oh yeah, it's Michael Jackson round 2.
Yes. So Sammy is wearing his Michael Jackson outfit. I don't know if he never changed after the party or whatever. This is clearly not the same day, but he's in the bar.
But this time he has the glove on, so...
So, yeah. So he's in the bar. Robbie's in the bar with him, and they're kind of drinking.
This is kind of where we see Sammy being...
like an actual friend.
Yeah, because they get into how Robbie now is just going to, like, serial date and, you know, just kind of let girls come to his house and make them leave, like, right after they're done doing their stuff, but he's gonna pay for their cab ride first, because that'd be messed up if he just made them leave.
Yeah, so he kind of says he wants to be
like
quote
Sammy.
unquote like Sammy, but Sammy turns around and says that he doesn't want to do that anymore.
He wants to be happy. He wants to find someone too. Like, this isn't like what you should be going for, basically.
Exactly. It's
and
not goals.
Yeah, and that he needs to tell Julia how he feels.
Yeah. So then that's when
Robbie leaves the bar and he's walking. He's gonna walk to. He like walks everywhere. Does he not have a car? Like,
I don't know his life.
And then so he's
Is
walking.
New Jersey that small? I don't know.
I think because he was drinking, so he didn't want to drive.
Yeah, he's not a drinker and driver. He's a safer.
So he's walking to Julia's house, and then it cuts to Julia's scene where she's trying on her wedding dress, and her mom's there. And I'm not really sure. Are they like at Holly's house? I think I'm not really sure what house she's at.
I mean, it must be.
Yeah.
It's like in the attic or something.
Yeah.
So they're upstairs, and I mean, it's a room we've never seen before, so we can only assume that it's.
And she's talking to her mom, and she's telling her, like, that she has doubts, and like how does she feel about Glenn? And the mom says, well, he's handsome, he's rich, like that.
Exactly.
And then Julia says, well, she's been hanging out with some man and she thinks like she might have feelings for him, and that it's Robbie Hart. And the mom goes, you're going to leave Glenn for the wedding singer?
Yeah, so, I mean, clearly the mom is
all about the money.
And
that
she kind of just tells
jitters.
her, yeah, it's jitters or cold feet. Everyone gets it before their wedding.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, don't say that to people. Like, if literally, like, it's not going to work out regardless. Like, do you want to pay for the wedding and have them get married and then have it not work out later, or just figure it out before?
Or, like, be a mom.
Yeah.
Supportive.
Exactly. Like, actually listen to what your daughter's trying to say.
So the mom leaves the room, and Julia is in her dress, and she's looking in the mirror, and she's practicing what her name's going to be. And she goes, hi, I'm Mrs. Glenn Julia. My name
Gulia.
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 My name's Julia Gulia. And, like, she starts to cry.
Because Julia Gulia, come on.
Julia, I'm Mrs. Julia Gulia.
Like, it's probably how and Never Been Kissed, they came out with Josie Grossi, Julia Gulia came first, okay?
And then she starts to practice how her name would sound, like, hi, I'm Mrs.
Robbie Hart.
Yeah. Julia Hart.
And having a whole conversation, and it flows really easily, and she's like laughing and looks
smiling.
so happy. And that's when he sees her through the window.
And he's thinking, like, oh my gosh, she's so happy. How am I going to tell her, like, that I have feelings for her? Like, I don't want to ruin her life.
Right.
So let me just
go back to the bar. And that's what he says. She's just so happy.
And Sammy is teaching, there's this old man in the bar, is teaching him to moonwalk and lets him wear his glove, lets him wear his jacket. And then Robbie has to go outside because he brought in his own alcohol and he's not allowed to drink it in the bar.
Right, that's normal. You can't do that.
And so, I mean, you could sneak it in better.
Oh my God.
So he goes outside and he bumps into Glenn and he's having his bachelor party.
Right, which, I mean, they're walking up the street towards the bar, I guess.
And he's hammered and he's like with all these
drunk.
Girls.
His stupid friend from the engagement party's there. There's a bunch of women and just douchey Miami Vice looking dudes.
And yeah, tells Rob, like, hey, do you want to party with us? Like, we're going to do all these women tonight, basically. And Robbie's not having it. Calls him out, like, he's a total jerk. How can he do this to Julia?
Yeah.
And then, so basically they're going to go at it. And
I mean, he tells him basically to mind his own business. Glenn tells Robbie to mind his own business. And
Robbie's like, I'm going to kick your ass. Like, I kicked that one guy's ass in 5th grade. Now I'm going to kick your ass. Like...
And Sammy and the old man are outside now. And the old man, punches Glenn.
And nothing really happens. And he goes, oh, I used to be much stronger. Like.
So anyways, now that he's been punched in the face, he's hitting Robbie. He comes after Robbie hard. And
so Glenn punches Robbie, like, gets him before Robbie could get him.
Yeah.
And makes, like... smart ass remark, or like tells him to write this song, like, I got punched in the nose for sticking my
nose in other people's business,
for sticking my face
something
in
like
other
that
people's business. I don't know, it's retarded. So that's pretty much the end of that scene. And then it goes to Robbie's scene, where he's drunk, he's going home, and guess who's there? Linda! Linda's trifling ass is there.
So yeah, she returns, and it's not great. Like, obviously Robbie's drunk. She ends up getting inside of his his place, but he passes out first.
So she brings him inside.
Which, how she did that, who knows?
And then...
in the morning...
Julia's ringing his doorbell, basically. Like, I guess she's come to realize she has feelings for Robbie, and now she's gonna tell him how she feels.
Exactly.
And Linda's answers the door.
In Robbie's Van Halen t-shirt.
With nothing but a t-shirt on, and says, Robbie's in the shower, so he can't talk right now. And Julia goes, well, my name's Julia. Can you just make sure to tell him I stopped by? And she goes, sure thing, Jennifer.
And then
closes the door
in her face. So rude, so stupid. And then we go back inside, and Robbie's kind of just waking up.
He's like passed out and doesn't even know that Linda's there.
It's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, remember I told you last night.
I want to take care of you, and like I made a mistake. And basically, he says, psycho, like, get out of my Van Halen t-shirt
before you jinx the band and they break up.
And, like, get the hell out of my life.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, I see. I get it. You're still pissed about the whole wedding thing. Yeah.
And then the next scene is Robbie slamming the door in her face, and she's, like, outside looking like stupid. The walk of shame.
So stupid.
And then the next scene is Julia barging into Glenn's room, and
Which
he's like
passed
in
out pretty much.
these tidy whitey like tiger underwear. She's like hitting him to wake up, and like basically tells him,
let's go to Vegas.
Like, I want to get married now. And he's all about it.
Yeah, he's ready to go. Which, I mean, it's sad because at that point it's like she just had her one last, like, this person I actually like I found someone that I like.
And I'm settling for this douche.
And there's Linda, so let me just lock this person down. So we'll just go to Vegas. This is stupid. None of it matters anyways, because she realizes she doesn't even care about him that way.
And then it goes to Rosie's 50th anniversary.
Well, they're in I think they show the airport first with Glenn and Julia sitting in the airport, and it's simultaneous with the anniversary party, because that's where Robbie is and Sammy. Which also, I know I brought up Julia's necklace before, but this is the first scene where she's not wearing it.
Yeah, when she wears it throughout the whole movie
until they get to the airport. Going, yeah, I was like, it's not her wedding necklace. Like, I don't know. Like that's so. I thought that was like really weird or interesting. Like, I don't know why they did that.
So there's a scene where it's Glenn. He's sitting by the window, and she tells him like, "Hey, I've never seen the Las Vegas lights. Like, can we switch seats?" And he basically tells her, like, no, because...
Well, he doesn't like when the, like, the drink cart comes by, it hits his elbows.
So he tells her she can lean over when they get to Vegas.
How about when we get to Vegas?
I'll let you lean over.
And look out the window. Oh my God.
She just nods, like, okay, like, with a sad, pouty face, like, okay, sure.
Rude. Which, again, like Robbie said before, Linda did the same thing. Pretty much going to the Grand Canyon, and that's how he knew. Or, like, the one thing that kind of was a sign that they were meant to be together. So
that matter.
Yeah, that's, like, solidifying even more. Like, you're not supposed to be with this guy. But she's going through with it.
So now it's the
anniversary party. And Rosie's singing her song.
And she finally gets done, and Robbie rushes over to kiss her goodbye and tells her, like, she did such a great job, but there's somewhere that he has to be.
And she said,
Go get her. And he's running out, and he runs into Holly.
Yes, Holly comes and just like, where's Julia? And she asks, are you back with Linda? Oh, yeah.
And he's like, no, why? And that she says, well, basically, Julia went to your house to confess her love to you, and Linda answered the door. In her underwear.
Yes, exactly. Because she's a crazy. But so they all go to the airport together.
So it's Sammy,
Holly, and Robbie.
Yeah.
And Bobby. And Toby.
He needs to buy a plane ticket, and the only ticket they have available is first class.
Yes. Or then the next flight is like
this is where
24 hours or something.
His friend Sammy come into play again, like, yeah, I'll pay for you, but like, you're gonna pay me back, right?
Yeah. And
Holly likes that.
They're at the thing, the gate, I guess. It's not the gate,
where
but
you buy
buying
the ticket.
Yeah. And this is where we see, I'm sorry, I keep mentioning all the trendy stuff, but we've got a flock of seagulls haircut going on. The airport guy, like the worker, the employee that's selling him the ticket.
It's crazy.
Straight up flock of seagulls. Do you guys like flock of seagulls? I can see you do. So good.
Sammy buys him his ticket, and Holly like thinks that's so nice of him. So I think like she's liking Sammy at this point.
Yeah. And which is good. They'd probably do okay together.
And Robbie goes onto the
and he's
airplane.
He's in first class.
And just does not know anything about first class.
Doesn't understand. He finds out the drinks are free. She's like offering champagne.
He finds out Billy Idol is on his flight.
They get the little, they give wet towels, the warm towel, and he like tucks it into his shirt.
And then, so he starts talking to the stewardess, and he's basically telling him like he's going to Vegas to find the love of his life and to
Right.
stop this wedding. And like the next scene,
Pretty
he's
much
like telling
all
the
of
whole first class. Yeah.
is in his story, including Billy Idol.
Yeah. Who I love.
Yeah, it's like he's great in this movie. So he totally gets it, and that's something he's like, Billy Idol gets it. I don't understand why she doesn't get it.
And then another stewardess walks in and says, like,
This is
some
female stewardess.
douchebag basically try to hit on her and says that she's top choice grade A meat.
Exactly.
So-
Which who said that before?
Glenn.
And
So Robbie
knows
catches
that.
on.
He kind of peeks out. He's like, "Where is this guy?" And he looks through the curtain and he
says,
sees
"They're on this
Julia.
plane."
Yeah, he sees Julia walking back to the seat, and Glenn's kind of asleep, and then freaks out that they're on the plane. And first class is gonna help him. It's beautiful.
And Billy Idol gets on the mic and says that they got a first class passenger
Who'd like to sing a song
to the
inspired by
second-
one of our coach
coach
passengers.
passengers.
Yeah.
And since we
they
let
the first class passengers do pretty much whatever we want, here he is.
and the song is called Growing Old with You.
Yeah, so
And
this
he's
is where we hear "Grow Old with You," and it's so good. He's just playing the guitar.
basically saying like he'll
I
let
wanna
her
make you smile
Yeah.
whenever you're sad. Carry you around when your arthritis is
bad.
bad. All I want to do
is grow old with you. And Julia knows immediately.
That it's him. Like
Yeah.
she can tell. And then he
And
kind
then-
of comes through the curtain
and
into
he's
the coach
playing
section.
his guitar, and Glenn finally wakes up.
Right.
And it's like,
and
what's
he's like, what is going on?
why is this dude here? And tries to get to Robbie, but the stewardess is coming through with like
the cart, and they're blocking him, and then Billy blocks him on the other side.
and basically threatens Billy like,
Yeah.
you better get out of my way,
Billy.
You're gonna get hurt.
And someone random in coach
who looks
"Don't
like a
threaten
Billy Idol
Billy
fan.
Idol.
He
They
has
talk
the
to Billy that
shirt.
way,
He
and,
looks like a Harley dude, like a biker dude.
Yeah, but he clocks Glenn like.
And they throw him inside the bathroom,
Yeah.
and then that's the end of Glenn that we see.
So he finishes the song and he's like right in front of Julia, and she loves it. And then Billy's kind of on the side and he's like, that song's pretty good, and
Like,
says he
I
wants
should
to
talk
pass
to
it
some
along.
people,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he asks, he's like, can I kiss her first?
So they kiss,
And then it kind of flash forwards to their wedding.
and you'll never guess who the wedding singer is for this wedding. Oh, it's so good.
It's our good friend who was the best man from
the
the very
first
first wedding.
David,
Yes.
played by Steve
Buscemi.
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 Buscemi, you know.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know how they decided to go
He
with him, or
sobered
like
up.
how he got hired.
He
But did he? Like, I don't know.
Well, he looks clean cut. His hair is like curled at the tip.
He does look cleaner.
And I thought that was like the best ending ever.
But it's so good. Like, he's pretty good. I can't remember what song he's singing, but it made me laugh.
Perfect start to.
What? Oh. I guess that's it, right? It's a perfect start to their cinematic relationship, like the movie. Because if you know, we see Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. This was their first film.
And then
Together.
if you are an Adam Sandler Drew Barrymore fan,
Then
you'll
you
know
that
they do
did
other
50
movies,
First Dates.
which was very good also.
And they did Blended as well, which was cute. We are blended. But yeah, that's a really good start to their cinematic relationship, I thought. You kind of see them grow and have project independently.
And that is The Wedding Singer.
And that's it. We will see you guys next time. Don't know what we're talking about yet. This is the first episode, so we will figure out what movie or show we'll be talking about next time and let you know then.
Alrighty.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.